Namaskar and good evening, dear friends. Team Hingori Sutras welcomes you to this session of In Conversation. आप सबको रक्षाबंधन की बहुत बहुत बधाइयाँ. Wishing you all a very happy Rakshabandhan. In the past few months, we have covered a lot of concepts, various subjects, and aspects of spirituality. We then thought, why not have an open session today where you can ask questions and we answer. Request you to ask questions on spiritual subjects only. Any personal questions can be emailed to us at answers.hingorisutras@gmail.com. I repeat, answers.hingorisutras@gmail.com. So let's get started with members of Team Hingori Sutras, Gajendra and Rhythm on this session. A very warm welcome to you. आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है, Gajendra and Rhythm. To start with, we were emailed a few questions in this coming week on answers.hingorisutras@gmail.com. Gajendra, if I could put in one question to you. How do I get through difficult times? I think the times have been really tough in the last 1.5 years, and people have been finding it very difficult to cope with it. So if you could help with this question, please. How do I get through difficult times?
Yeah, Anjali, thank you for asking that. I think this is a pretty interesting question, and whenever I think over it, right, all of us are bound to go through ups and downs of life. It's not possible that you will get a road which never turns or which is always a expressway with no potholes anywhere in between. When I think over this question, let me put three cogs to this entire story, right? There are, for any of the situations like this where you're going through difficult times, what is important is, one is what I call as Guru Kripa. The second one is what I call as, acceptance of destiny. And third is what I call as faith. These three cogs are very important to make sure that you sail through. So let me explain it further, what I mean by that, right? The first and foremost, when I talk about Guru Kripa, what is Guru Kripa? I mean, in this kind of situation, what Guru Kripa means is your guru actually lending you his own car so that you can ride on this beaten up road, right? Now, even if he gives his own car, can he change the road for you? Maybe not. But he will at least make sure that the car will sail you through on this journey. Then comes the destiny. This is the road which, do whatever you may, the best of the car will still have to go through this road. So at least you are under the protection and you will be going through. And last, but the most important factor, who's the driver? I mean, you are borrowing somebody's car to get through this, and then you are driving on a road which is your own destiny. And the faith is the one which is actually going to drive you through this. At any point in time, there would be bad road, and you cannot be giving up on your ride. You will have to make sure that you are continuing your journey with full faith. And that's the way all this will go through. And this is what I call as how would I be going through difficult times in personal life also, right? We all are professionals. I am a professional as an engineer in my life, and I have been going through a lot of issues when it comes to work. I mean, what I do for my practical living is actually solve engineering problems. When I look at my own designs, there are times when I see that the everything on paper says that this design should work, and then the design fails, and you are thinking, what are you going to do? And the only thing that I would have done in that situation is step back, accept it that okay, it was part and parcel of the journey. Let me think through what I could have done better, and that makes me through. One trick that I was using all this while in this, whenever you get through these difficult challenges which are difficult to explain by rational. is what I would do is every night in the evening when you are to retire is I would go bow my head to Gurudev's feet and tell that, I'm leaving my problem at your feet right now. I will pick it up in the morning, but right now let me go ahead and have a peaceful sleep. And you know what? It would do wonders, because what it would do is it would give me a perspective to think. And in the morning, your life is going to start. It's not going to wait, right? You can't get rid of the problem just because you left it there. But luckily, and let's say 95% of the time, which is not a poor rate at all, is I would get the answer on how to get it there. Yeah. Which doesn't mean that I solved all my problems. I still have my problems. But yeah, I mean, I felt much better on solving them. So I
Yeah,
think
quite
that's the way I would sum it up for you, if at all, how I go through my times.
very nice. Gajendra, here, I'd like to add a personal story of mine as well. In fact, I did quite similar to what you do. I was going through a rough patch also in my business, and really rough patch, and didn't know whether we should just go on or stop this entire business plan of mine. And then I started to go to office every day, and what I used to do is I used to light a diya in front of my guru's photograph and say, "आज का दिन आप पे अर्पण है, जो मुझसे कराना है करा लो." After that, it was tangdi upar and sit and go on Facebook and scroll or play a game of patience on on the computer. Yeah,
Exactly.
but when things turned around while doing that, and when it happened, I didn't even realize how a new idea just came in and manifested into another profession. So that's true, that arpan and that surrender plays a huge role in managing the difficult times. So when the road is choppy and the road is with a whole lot of potholes, that that faith in your guru is like what you said, really helps. But that choppy road and that those potholes are that negativity that sometimes flattens your tire or breaks the axle or what, and ruins the suspension of your car. At that point of time, Rhythm, how can we deal with this negativity?
So this negativity is something that negativity is around because if somebody is, like you just mentioned, your business was not doing well. So however hard you try, you will not earn that amount of money that you've got to use. I mean, that's required to run the business successfully. So that cannot change. But it multiplies when you overthink it, when you put your emotions to it. And in my understanding, it is the emotions which are attached to any action which magnify the effect. So
Right.
the same business till the day you did not decide to light that diya in front of your guru's feet, you were worried, and you were worried, you were running helter skelter, till one day it's a brilliant thing that you did. You decided to light the diya. In your head, you mentally gave all the responsibilities to the guru, and there was no emotion attached to the business. I mean, I know you since a very long time. I've never seen you are one of the workaholics that I've met. It's very difficult to accept or expect you to play Facebook. And things turned.
True.
Irrespective of whatever you would have done, the time it would have taken for your business to turn around, because that's part of the destiny. Destiny is something we all understand quite clearly. The time that it takes for an action to manifest is the time it will take. It is only when your emotions are very heightened, is the negativity also increases. So if one can have have their emotions in control, you're through. Emotions are not just negative emotions. One of Gurudev's very profound statements is, अगर तेरे को दुख से जीतना है तो सुख से जीत.
Yes. So
it is the opposite that you want to win. you control, and the counter will happen. So the seesaw, you're right, left, and the axis is where you need to be.
The
Very
fulcrum
difficult.
of the seesaw.
Yes.
Absolutely.
The fulcrum is where you need to be. Very difficult, but not impossible.
Yeah. Yeah. So just taking that forward, I did hear, my mentor tell me that the first thing you need to do is actually stop being happy.
Yes.
Yeah. Stop being happy
Yes.
to not be sad. And so it is about stop enjoying the good feelings to not get affected by the negative feelings. I think that's
I'll
what
share an example with you, Anjali.
Please do.
I was at my mentor's place, and there was somebody who had come to ask him a few questions. And for sure, people come to a spiritually evolved person because they're not doing so well in life. I don't remember what their problem was. Their problem seemed to be quite grave. And every time that person would say, why this is happening to me? This is such a bad time. It's been happening for such a long time. The only thing that, after a long discussion, he explained everything, this, that, and the other. And then he said, "Aisa hai, today times are bad. Destiny is not in your favor. But there was a time when things were very good. Did you think back ever once, why is it happening to me now? Why is everything happening so well to me now?" So if in the good times, one does not swim too deep in that emotional storm, the bad times will be equally easily taken care of.
I quite agree with you. Rhythm, there's this one question that the entire world sort of feeds on, and that is, why me? Uff, ye mere saath kyun hota hai?
That's because we think that our life is the worst, and everybody else is living a very happy, great life. 9 out of 10 times, if you tell your story to the other guy and your other person, and the person is, and you're not in a very happy place or not in great place, they get very happy. Ki, haan, I am not the only person who's suffering. Sad, but that's the fact of life.
And that is where the mind is at play.
Yes.
So Gajendra, this mind, there's a major mix-up and about understanding what the mind is and what the intellect is, and how these two are not the same. And in spirituality, we need to transcend the mind and connect more with the intellect. Can you just explain as to what is the difference between the mind and the intellect?
I think the most shortest answer that I can go ahead and tell you is, let's go ahead and read Yog Vashisht. But I'll try to see if I can give you a quick summary on what I understand it, and may not be completely as per what Yog Vashisht says, but let me take a giant moment. For a moment, what we say, and actually in one of the Kappa Karmas also, we talked about this one, right? Where we have mind and intellect. Let's call it as what you see in the mirror and what is really being to be seen, right? So when you look at the mirror, you see yourself. Maybe I see myself as Gajendra, the physical form of it, and you would be like, okay, he's got probably, if you guys can see, it's got a pony now, and so, okay, is this what Gajendra is, or is it more to that, right? And more to that, beyond which comes from intellect, is where you start looking more within what is the real, and that's where you start with. And that's more than that, where I would get into is, this is also one which actually brings up your zest to actually finding out the real purpose of life, and the intellect actually feeds into that, right? Is, my existence, what am I supposed to be doing, how am I supposed to be doing, and that is what it comes to. Mind will continue to show you, and we say, okay, maybe that's Maya, this is what it is, this is what Gajendra is, this is what rhythm is here. But seeing beyond and seeing that common denominator within us and then working towards a bigger purpose is what intellect is going to be telling you. That's a more generic response that I can try and give you, because first you have to break that paradigm to see within. Uh, I mean, when we look at our own spiritual mentor, he keeps on telling us that okay, खुद की worship करो. I mean, सबसे बड़ा तो problem हम लोग को ये है कि हम अपने आप को worship नहीं कर पाते. And सबसे पहले वो करते हैं. And that's where the intellect will come into picture. Is you will have to see the real you. अपने आप को देखो जो हो. अपने आप में वो खुदाई देखो जो हो. Yeah, so that is the way I would want to break it up for you actually.
Quite true. I read the Yoga Sutras, the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, and there was this thing about the Chitta Vritti Nirodha, the concept of the mind. And I actually did try it myself, so I thought I'd just share it with the audience. Where Chit is your mind. Yeah, it is your emotions, your thinking, your physical mind. Vrittis are these waves, these tsunamis, these whirlpools, whatever you may want to call it, that hit that ocean that is your mind, with 1,000 thoughts. And invariably, these emotions, if you just watch yourself one day and practice it, dear audience, I have noticed, and it really works. If you just notice yourself at some time when you're really angry or you're hurt by something or you're euphoric, shut your eyes for a minute, imagine your mind as an ocean, and watch these waves or these tsunamis or just a placid ocean or whatever it may be at that point of time, depending on the kind of emotion you're going through, come past. And if you keep watching it for some time, sometimes suddenly you will see that entire tsunami is just merging with the ocean and it sort of disappears. That watching of that emotion now mixing with your chit, which is your mind, is nirodha. Okay, that observing. When you observe yourself, that is nirodha. And that observation is exactly what Gajendra was saying now, is that calmness is when you connect with your intellect and you open the door.
If I may add into, just a while back when I was talking about, right, when I used to retire myself on, the engineering problems are constantly telling this has to work, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
And kya ho raha tha actually, when I was stepping back, I was just letting it watch. There's no point in fighting with it at that moment in time. अगर मैं लड़ लेता तो मेरे पास जवाब ही नहीं आ रहा था, because my logic is constantly telling कि नहीं ये तो होना ही है. लेकिन जब पीछे हटके उस प्रॉब्लम को for a moment as point in time देखो कि okay, बस ये प्रॉब्लम है and क्या हो रहा है, and that is what you brought up, right? कि the intellect will actually bring it only once you have a stillness. Otherwise, जो हम लोग बोलते हैं ना, response and react, that is the situation that we constantly get into.
Yeah, absolutely. Bilkul sahi kaha. And this is when it brings to me it is only jab you are in that state of nirodha that you can work on expanding your aura. And rhythm, how do we enhance our aura? What are the other ways of enhancing our auras? If you could just throw some light on that, please.
So in the Hingori Sutras, all the books that are available in the Hingori Sutra on the Hingori Sutra platform, there are three concepts, broad line: Mantra Vidya, Seva, and Gunamix. My personal belief is it is Seva which can increase your Seva with the right Gunamix, can increase your aura many-fold with hardly any effort. And mantra vidya is something that you if the mantra that you got from your mentor, who's a Siddh Guru,
That's so true.
yeah, that multiplies it. It is the attitude with which you do your seva that is what increases your aura. The aura, I mean, it's very easy to collect aura, not so easy. I mean, we say it's very easy, but you can enhance your aura through seva. Done with the right guna mix, the apparatus which holds that aura increases. So with less of tamas and rajas and more of sattva, तीन किस्म के गुण होते हैं, राजसिक, तामसिक, सात्विक. So and all three are important. The right mix.
I'm sorry, I'm just in the आप क्या कह रहे हैं कि the guna mixes you can influence that with seva? Is that what you're trying to say?
No. So so if there is a difference when I feed 1,000 people and say I fed 1,000 people, versus the 1,000 people got fed and I was a conduit which was there at that particular moment of time, and I was just the conduit in their facilitating the feeding. One should not be naive enough to think that if I don't feed those 1,000 people today, they will go hungry tonight. But time and again, as a human, it is not very difficult to think and take pride, become arrogant into thinking that you have done that deed. Non-doership. So how does one practice non-doership? How does one practice not being arrogant, not being jealous, all those things? The moment your guna mix changes, you become sensitive towards the other person and do the seva, from you being the person who's done the seva to being grateful to have been received the opportunity to do that. It's the same act done in a different light.
Very nice. Yeah, so true.
And mantra vidya is all these mantras are a set of vibrations that, if done over a period of time, certain number of repetitions over a period of time, increases your aura. Can I share a secret?
Yes, please do.
So there is something called a car which has a turbo engine. Same mantra given to you, handed down to you by a Siddh Guru, acts as a turbo engine.
Yeah.
But any mantra done over and over a period of time has definitely aura building capacity. But nothing can beat seva. In all the philosophies that have been discussed in these Hingori Sutra books, Gurudev's single point agenda during his lifetime was seva. He has, through sheer seva, done over a small span of 10 years. That is the time when he was very active as a guru, as a Mahaguru. He served lakhs and lakhs of people. We have access to videos in which, on big occasion, there were lines which ran more than 1.5 to 2 kilometers. And from one end to the other, Gurudev would walk, bless people in a matter for hours, and take a car back to his house in Gurgaon. What was this? This was sheer act of seva. And there is something called as Nishkam seva, selfless seva. He was the pure epitome of that. So seva is something that one should practice as a matter of life. That should be a way of living.
Very true. You know, the foundation of Hingori Sutras has been laid by the teachings and philosophies of Gurudev. Yes. He's the Mahaguru. He selflessly served thousands of people and did not stop at that. Before he left his body, he equipped another 100 of his disciples to carry that mandate by making them gurus. His stories
Yes.
are incredible and philosophy inspirational. Well, to hear the stories of this phenomena, we request you to log on to gurudevonline.com and hear the podcasts, especially created for you, dear audience. They are truly inspiring. Yeah. So it's yeah, Rhythm. What you're saying is, I really do connect with that.
History has, I mean, in history, you will not find a guru, a Mahaguru, who has displayed such power and who has displayed transfer of power. There have been saints through time, and there will be saints through till time immemorial, but documented proof of people who are not 5,000-year-old back alive. These are people who are alive in today's day and age. The seeds sown by Gurudev 20, 30 years back, 30, 35 years back, have turned into orchards today.
Very true.
Seva is done in his name across the world till date.
So
and it's just that one single point
phenomenal
mantra, Seva.
results of that seva.
Phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Yeah. Dear audience, we'll be sharing a lot of links in the comments today. Like we've just shared a blog on being an observer inside out, which was quite close to the question that we asked earlier. You're most welcome to please do read these blogs, go on to Gurudev Online, and you have ample of access to phenomenal content in hingorisutras.com as well as on gurudevonline.com. So please do on your free time, do access this and enrich yourselves. Yeah.
Anjali, I'd like to add something on this.
Hanji.
There is the audio biography of Gurudev, which is being uploaded every Thursday. Thursday is the day of the Guru.
Correct.
And that is wealth of knowledge more than what the Reserve Bank of India can hold.
Absolutely. In fact, that's exactly why I shared for the podcast, the Gurudev Online website. You're absolutely right. Very true. Yeah.
I'll just add in, Anjali.
Hanji.
I had a very long drive, because of the current pandemic situation. I didn't want to take the flights or anything, and I chose to drive wherever I was driving, and it was almost 8 to 9 hours.
Okay.
Typically one would have got exhausted within no time, but I was impressed with myself that actually there were 8 loaded by then, and my entire road, I was never, I never shifted the channel. I was constantly on one after other. It just mesmerizes how the man of such a stature, and being blessed to get it from him. Actually,
I agree.
Amazing collection.
I agree with you. While Rhythm just explained about enhancing our aura, a question that we've received innumerable times is what happens to the soul after it exits the body? Yeah. Gajendra, please. This is one question we must answer today.
So you want a fearful answer or you want a positive answer?
Inspirational answer.
So let me inspire you by giving a fearful answer. No, it's not fearful actually. I think there are 2 facets of the coin, right? So let's look at the first one that we want to really, what we have read in. Okay, the Puranas say that, okay, when the person is about to die, he may turn in cold, before maybe 4-5 hours before, then the Yamdut comes and breaks the astral cord, and then, the spirit is left there. It may be watching its own body and then trying to figure out what has happened. It is trying to acclimatize itself on the new reality, tries to hover around, not finding a place, may go visit some of the known places that it had, and would still try and come back to its body. And then because the cremation would have happened, it doesn't have a body. So it comes to a acceptance that it can't go anywhere. And then gradually what happens is the Barwa Terwa is when, the rituals will be done. the ancestors would take him forward, and all that story that is there.
Yeah, in the
But
Garud Puran.
exactly, the Garud Puran stuff, right?
Yeah.
But more than that, actually, I don't think so. That's a relevant question itself. I mean, that's the reason I asked whether you want a fearful answer or this thing. Nothing wrong that the Puran said, but think about it, yeah. Do we want to think about what will happen after my life, or do I think about in this given life, how do I strategize my exit?
Yeah.
Perfect.
What is it that I
Exactly.
want to do? Right?
Yes.
So more importantly, I would say, I haven't crossed that bridge, at least at this lifetime. I may have crossed it before, but I don't have a recollection. But what I would say is strategizing your exit. Let's put ourselves in two buckets. Am I a spiritual investor or am I a spiritual consumer? If I'm a spiritual consumer, I got this life, and in one of your sessions only, right, we talked about how lokas and why we come on Bhulok and we are doing whatever we are doing and stuff. If you're a
Yes.
consumer, you are consuming your wealth or riches, whatever way you want to call it. Enjoy your life and then decide whether you want to go to the lower realms or you want to go up. You don't get to decide actually, because whatever you've done is what it is going to make you go in that, you buy yourself a ticket. That's where we talk about that snake and ladder concept constantly.
Right.
But if you are a spiritual investor, then the entire thing is, how do I strategize my exit? And the person who's an investor, he cannot sit idle. He tries to find opportunity in everything, right? I mean, I'm sure you also know the names, but I would not be taking the names. But many of the people on this platform itself, during the pandemic times, I mean, people were not able to go and they were restless that they were not able to do seva. They figured out, okay, what is the way to do seva? I mean, somebody came up with the thought process that, okay, if not anything, let me at least wish good for the COVID people, right? There were people who came down and said, no, I have to make sure that ration is being reached. And people have traveled to no extent to make sure that, the daily utility things are being sent to. That's what the power of seva is. And Rhythm rightly mentioned, right? How do I grow my aura? I mean, why do I need that aura? Actually, the more lighter, I mean, you are making sure that you are making as much light as possible for yourself. Light as in, lightness, if I would say. Then the other factor comes in is, while you're doing this, in this entire jugglery of snake and ladder, you are actually changing your guna mix, right? Whatever the three gunas that Rhythm talked about, you're changing your guna mix to make sure that you are going to fuel yourself constantly. You psych yourself constantly that I have to do a better good, and then slowly you come to a point where you're at a realization that we can talk about divinity, but you start seeing the divinity within, and that is what is it is all about, strategizing your exit, if I would say. There are some more aspects that I will bring in. I mean, mantra jap is something which will help you. Those vibrations will help you. Those vibrations will also be very important for you to accumulate that energy and hold that aura. Sorry. So that is more important. It's not, maybe I would say, aura may be a tool, mantra jap may be a tool of, rather than acquiring more aura, about retaining that aura much more, if I would say, is what I would bring in. So that is one. Practicing detachment and forgiveness. I think those are the two most important things, right? When we
Very
talked
well
about
said.
that seesaw where one is going up and down, if you're there, I mean, detachment, many people get into the fact that nahi yaar, mere ko sant ban ke I have to go in pahads and stay there. मेरे को पहाड़ पे थोड़ी ना जाना है. डिटैचमेंट का मतलब ये नहीं है कि मेरे को सबसे नाता तोड़ना है. डिटैचमेंट का मतलब ये है कि यहाँ पे जो भी है उनको एक ही लेंस से देखना है. मेरे को ये देखना है कि यार, अगर मैं डिवाइन हूं तो आप भी डिवाइन हो. दैट इज व्हाट आई वुड कॉल एज ट्रू डिटैचमेंट. सबको एक समान प्यार करो. आई मीन, व्हेन वी वर टॉकिंग अबाउट गुरुदेव, हिज ओन, व्हाट वाज एनलाइटनिंग इज, he would say, I love everybody as I love my daughter. Why is it any different? Right? So that is what I would really call as detachment or equal attachment, whatever way you want to call it.
Fabulous.
Right?
I'm sorry, I'm just interrupting you here. If you could just expand a bit on this, because there's a question here by Shwet saying that, would marriage and family obligations come in the way of spiritual growth? Or, or should we not get into earning and sansar living and just practice only seva and spiritual this and live a spiritual life? So basically being an Aztec. So can you just include that answer here
Okay.
as well?
So while I talk about detachment, I'll give two things. One, as I told you, it's a equal love is the way. And to this question that staying in a married life, is that an impediment? If at all, I think that is the gist of the question that he was trying to ask, right? And I would say impediment, again, it's the lens that you want to. And more than Gurudev, I would say many of us would have seen that WhatsApp that runs for Amitabh Bachchan, right? Where in one of the shootings that he was sitting in, and he was wearing a entire suited up for the shooting, and it was very hot. And somebody asked him कि आपको गर्मी नहीं लग रही है, and he said that मानो तो लगती है, नहीं मानो तो नहीं लगती. So the same way I would say impediment मानो तो होएगा, नहीं है तो क्यों होगा, right? क्योंकि आपको ये भी तो देखना है कि क्या ये मेरे स्पिरिचुअल ग्रोथ के लिए मेरे साथीदार बन सकते हैं. अगर आपकी वाइफ, आपके बच्चे अगर आपको आपकी स्पिरिचुअल ग्रोथ में भी तो हेल्प कर सकते हैं, व्हाई शुड दे ऑलवेज बी थॉट अबाउट impediment? And on top of it, the concept that we are in is it's about Shiv and Shakti. So how can Shiv stand alone or Shakti stand alone? I mean, why can't they coexist and make sure that we go much more beyond that? So to me, हर रोज की जिंदगी में शायद से हो सकता है कि थोड़ी सी 19-20 तो किसकी जिंदगी में नहीं है, लेकिन आप सोचो कि पहाड़ों में जाके बैठोगे, बाद में फिर ये सोचना पड़ेगा कि आज का खाना कहाँ से आएगा, आज मुझे कोई भिक्षा देगा कि नहीं देगा. So I think उसके बजाय तो ये पार्टनरशिप कोई बुरा आइडिया नहीं है. That's the way I'll put it.
And I'll add something to this.
Sorry,
I'll add something to this. What Gajinder has said is he said it very, 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 very effortlessly and very, very brilliantly. It is the angle of difficulty in the grahasthashram which makes the climb of evolvement much higher.
True.
So that is the biggest exactly. Challenge.
And maybe that also helps me come to a point which I would say forgiveness, right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's talk about our own. अगर यही है तो शायद से अपनी खुद की जिंदगी में हमको देखना पड़ेगा कि are we staying with grudges? मलाल है जिंदगी में या हम किसी को माफ भी कर रहे हैं? तो एंड ऑफ द डे एग्जिट की प्लानिंग अगर कर रहे हो तो पहले तो सबसे पहले तो सबको माफ करना सीख लो. वेरी डिफिकल्ट, बट एंड तक आते आते शायद से वो भी सीख जाएंगे ना. बिकॉज अगर हमको किसी के साथ ग्रज है तो हमको फिर से लौट के आना पड़ेगा
to settle the score.
Exactly.
So, Anjali, I'll add one more point. This exit that Gajendra just mentioned. Sorry, I'm
sure, built it up.
Cutting him out. Once my spiritual mentor and me, we were walking around one of these cities that we travel very regularly to. And suddenly he looked up and he said, you know something? Human existence is the only existence in which you can die. And I'm dumbfounded looking at him. Gee, what does that mean? He said, beta, imagine 5,000 years and you've just got to float, not die. So the fear attached to the death was something that made me look at death in a very different, positive light. Okay, this is the only existence, human existence is the only existence where you can die. As a spirit, in the books written by Hingori, there are he's mentioned about spirits who waited 1,000 years, 100 years for Gurudev to come and give them birth. And here you are, you have an option to die, which means End of day's play. Imagine the match never ending.
So true.
Exactly.
Going back to Gajendra, your point about detachment, somehow I feel, family से detach, बच्चों से detach करने से पहले खुद से detach हो जाओ.
Yes.
Exactly.
Detach from yourself, detach from your emotions, detach from your ego, your identity, before you. And once you
Very true.
detach from yourself, detachment from everybody else automatically happens. And please, I mean, to me, it is, don't mix detachment with with your responsibility that you have to play. You can still hug your child and still be detached, because you do your duties, you do what you're supposed to do, and still move forward, right?
Anjali, if I may just sum it up with one statement, right? Detachment का मतलब ये नहीं है कि भाग जाना.
Yes.
बिल्कुल सही.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And with this, there is, somehow मुझे लगता है कि ये सब करने में, सीखने में, to live this, it is almost an impossible task without a guru. Rhythm, what do you think? And having a guru, no, I'm not talking about a guru that you would, listen to on TV or read a book from and then say that, okay, this is the guru that I follow because I watch this program every morning on TV, or a satsang. I'm talking about that relationship between a guru and disciple, a genuine Siddh guru who actually, if you stand up or rise up to being a disciple, takes that ownership of you. But to become that disciple, what are the qualities one needs to qualify to be one? This is a question that also comes up very often. So please do share some light.
The disclaimer is I'm not being paid to market Hingori Sutra books. That's very clear. But this has been very, very clearly explained in the book written by Hingori called Guru Sutra. This is my go-to book.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's mine too.
There are 6-7 points which he has mentioned, and in in-depth detail. I'll say. I mean, I'll tell you what the guru, a Siddh guru, looks in a disciple. He looks at sense of awareness. The person coming to him has to be aware of the surroundings that he is in. Is he? I mean, he's not just there for without a purpose. He's there for a purpose. Excuse me. Flexibility and non-dogmatism. When a mentor takes in a disciple, or an understudy, protege, he needs to, the protege, the understudy has to be flexible. The mind has to be open, because the guru, the mentor, the guru will always want his thought process to distill in the disciple's mind. Sense of sacrifice. This is an old concept. The disciple should be ready for any kind of sacrifice. Sacrifice, the colloquial term is tan man dhan se arpan kiya.
Yahan pe Rhythm, I just want you to expand a bit, okay? Because there is a lot of misconception about this tan man dhan concept.
So in this book, a lot of clarity is being given with respect to what a Siddh Guru actually means. A Siddh Guru, I mean, Gurudev never wore a orange kurta in his life, or at least that's what I feel. He was a man who was a soil survey officer who used to work, and I met, I mean, yesterday there was a session with his daughters. One should look at it as well. He was a Mahaguru. He had manifestations of Shiv in both his hands. And he was still a normal individual who could be missed on the road of Connaught Place in Delhi if you didn't know he is the Mahaguru. A real Siddh Guru does not need those accolades, does not need a throne, but he needs sincerity from his disciple. तन मन धन से ये मतलब नहीं है कि money is what the Guru requires. If the tan is your physical aspect, if the Guru asks you to do any kind of job, any kind of physical effort, you should be ready for it. So that is the physical effort. Tan. Man, you have to mentally bow down to him, accept to any and every will of your Guru. That is man. And dhan. Dhan doesn't mean 101 Rolls Royces being gifted to your Guru. Not at all. A Siddh Guru will always want you to follow a path. In Gurudev's case, it was Seva. And Seva was done not for the Gurudev never consumed salt in his life from outside. Anybody's salt. Never took any monetary favors from anybody. If I am not wrong, when he retired in 1990s, his salary was 3,500 rupees. One of my friends, who's also my spiritual associate, he had mentioned if he convert that to today's amount, that would be 50,000-60,000 rupees a month, which is not less. But considering there were 50,000 people who used to come to this Sthan in 1990, 3,500 rupees definitely was not a lot of money. So a Siddh Guru does not need your money, but if he instructs you to do any good deed from that money, you have to be able to do that. That availability of resource should be there. A Siddh Guru will never expect any monetary favors. That's how I look at Tan Man and Dhan.
Absolutely. That's so true. Yeah.
Then there is sheer guts. The disciple has to be gutsy. He should be ready to take the Guru's message, the Guru's talk forward.
Fearlessly.
Otherwise, yes, fearlessly.
Yeah.
I mean, one should be my spiritual master has mentioned this once. You should be an Alsatian, a one master dog. That's what the true disciple is all about. The disciple should be obedient and loyal. You cannot have a pseudo approach to spiritualism. You have to be loyal to one Guru. And loyalty has to be beyond any realm.
I think beyond, I would put it, can I add one more word?
Sure,
Beyond,
please.
Beyond any an analysis, beyond any thought process, beyond it's bhakti in its form where even in your bad times, in your worst of times, you shouldn't falter or shake. So that kind of loyalty where even if you know that there is something you want to do and you're being pushed to do something, or you've been asked to do, you never get pushed by a guru. You're always requested to do something something you don't want to do. You go ahead and do it.
I'll share one of Gurudev's disciples' example.
Please do.
So late in the night, the disciple, Gurudev's disciple, hears a voice in his ears, and it's an empty room. No, all the paraphernalia is empty. No way there could be a voice here. He says, "What if your Guru is fake?" The disciple, who's a very senior disciple of Gurudev, gets up and says, "What is this happening?" But the voice is persistent. This voice says, "What if he's fake? What if he's not a Siddh Guru? What if
Yeah.
unfair. He's a fake. I mean, imagine to the extent that voice told this disciple, what if your guru is a fake? फिर क्या? After a lot of turmoil, because the voice was consistently going on in the disciple's head, the disciple mentally accepted it and said, I accept my guru on an as is, where is basis. And that is what loyalty means.
That
If
is
you-
where the journey to surrender begins.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Yes. So
Absolutely.
these are the things which are very, very clearly, elaborately explained. I have 2-3 points which I feel which a guru should look at, which a disciple needs to have to become a disciple before he becomes Guru Kripa. The guru has to bless the disciple before he becomes a disciple, in hindsight, to become his disciple.
Yes.
Bit of a tongue twister, but we can think on it. The guru looks at potency. A Siddh guru looks at potency in individual. Potential every human being has. But because a Siddh guru is able to see through your destiny once you walk in or whenever, in any point of time, does he realize that this particular lifetime of that individual, he has the potency to rise, evolve. And the last is surrender. Is the disciple able to surrender to the guru? And
True.
surrender, we've discussed tan, man, dhan, any.
Very true. So very true. And yeah, so this is where we see that you need to do your part. Very often we are very happy to test our guru, and say, मैंने तो ये बोला था पर मेरा ये हुआ नहीं. But very often we forget to check ourselves. Have we done our bit? Have you actually surrendered and accepted the advice of your guru? Are you following him to the extent that you should follow? Do you have that patience? Do you have that conviction that if I'm asked to jump out of the window, I would jump out because I know the net is already there to
Absolutely.
protect me.
True.
Yeah. So there are some more questions here. Where yes, Swet, I think what you've written is that you believe that Siddh Guru will help you only towards spiritual evolution and not changing what your body have to suffer or enjoy. To some extent, you're correct. But, it is also, I think, if you can just add to this, one of you, because I know there's a little bit of an expansion that we must put in here, where he says that I believe a Siddh Guru will help you only towards spiritual evolution and not for changing what your body needs to suffer or enjoy. So what he's talking about is the karma part. Rhythm or Gajendra, can you add a bit more to that?
Good. I'll build over you.
So a Siddh Guru has definitely has the ability to shield you from any untoward incidents, any bad period. He will definitely not stop the rain when you are walking out of the house. But he will definitely make sure that there is an umbrella available when it is raining.
Very well said.
It is not the Guru's job to change your destiny, but a Siddh Guru can do it. He has the ability to do it, but he will not do it. The purpose why this human existence is for evolvement. And a guru's job profile is that he has to make sure that the disciple evolves in this lifestyle. The Mahaguru is one who decides to make gurus. So there is a guru, there is a Siddh Guru, and there is a Mahaguru. Gurudev was a Mahaguru. At times, when the destiny needs to be tweaked, it is the will of the Guru that changes it. But it is not only the evolvement of the spirit that he is interested in. When he's taken you as a disciple, he is responsible for it. And he will make sure that you sail through any and every situation. That's what I think. Vijender?
Very.
If I may add, actually, see, हर एक चीज में खर्चा तो होना ही है, right? तो अगर, I mean, the questions was more over, and I think मैं दोनों के perspective रखूंगा. एक बंदे का जिसका perspective है कि मेरे को spiritual growth तो चाहिए, लेकिन उसके साथ साथ मेरे body में कुछ whatever ailments हैं, and उसको आप निकाल सकते हो. I think अगर वो potency या अगर वो क्षमता आप में है उस समय कि मैं आपके फिजिकल एलिमेंट्स को निकाल दूं, तो आप स्पिरिचुअल में मेरे इन्वेस्टर के भागीदार होंगे, तो सर्टेनली यू आर लुकिंग एट अ राइट थिंग. द अदर वन इज कि अगर मेरे को इनको आराम देने से इसकी जिंदगी का फायदा हो जाता है, आई एम श्योर द गुरु विल ट्राई टू गिव यू अ बेनिफिट टू हेल्प यू सेल थ्रू ऑन द बॉडी एलिमेंट्स. ओके, बट आई थिंक द क्वेश्चन वाज अ बिट मिक्स्ड. And agar aapko, as a disciple, in your zest to become a disciple, if you are having ailments also, I think that is something which, the guru or a mahaguru is also going to let it be there at times so that you suffer it now rather than later. So ye kharcha, I think that balance sheet is something which we should let it to be left to the mahaguru. And agar humne disciple banna hai, तो ये पहले देख लेते हैं कि चलो ना सरेंडर करके जो मेन है उस मुद्दे पे आते हैं. दैट इज नथिंग बट हेल्प मी विद माय प्लान ऑफ हाउ टू स्ट्रेटेजाइज माय एग्जाम. आई थिंक दैट इज द वे आई वुड पुट इट. आई एम श्योर ही दैट्स द रीजन वी आर हैविंग सेंटर्स व्हिच आल्सो डू लॉट ऑफ सेवा इन दिस एस्पेक्ट. लेकिन गोल क्या है? गोल इज ये ऑर्चर्ड में से और भी तो नए ऑर्चर्ड्स बनाने.
Bilkul. While we've discussed so many topics, there are certain clarifications some people want, and one of the questions here is that what is the objective or the reason to expand our aura, and what is the result of this expansion?
I would ask, why do you need fuel?
Correct.
Right. I think body is only that car, or that spirit and soul, that is still that vehicle, but unless you have the monetary consumption, currency, whatever way you want to call it, as aura, I think it's very difficult, no? And unless you cannot build up, I mean, what is the goal? I mean, if you, again, going back to that same Loka's, theory that we had talked about, you can, frankly speaking, there is a bigger game which has been running around, and we are here on a timeout, or let's say strategic timeout on this earth. So agar ye game ko barabar se khel lenge during the strategic timeout, then only we can play the bigger game much more easily. And uske liye jo aapko recovery chahiye ya aapki jo potency बढ़ानी है, that is through. So if I may, I think Anjali, मेरा जवाब तो इतना ही होगा कि I think simplicity में कि आपको वो जो ईंधन चाहिए वो और है.
Very true.
Whatever we talked about, seva and all, are those mediums that will help you.
Bilkul. And that there's another question about expanding aura. So there's another question by Vikas saying that what is more important? How many times you chant a mantra? How well you concentrate and meditate on a mantra at a particular time?
I would let the person who stays in a very meditative state to answer it. He's in a land where you can do a lot of meditation. Maybe he can answer you better.
Absolutely.
I'll answer it by stealing a sentence which Hingori has said it.
So,
Anjali, you know what I'm talking
I got it.
So Hingori is one of the many profound statements that he makes is, what is it that is better? Three 8 annas or one rupee? So the chanting of mantra, wherever, whenever, as much as possible, done, is far better than, is better, not far better, is better than the pose, the semantics of it.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, and true. And we do all this so that we can expand our aura, change our guna mix, and go richer from this world. So there's a question here by Mr. Mehtani saying that besides your own doings during your lifetime, does the doings of your family in your name help your spirit, or rather continuing spirit, the soul instead? If I may, just yahan pe, I'd like to answer this question.
Sure.
When I spoke to my spiritual guru asking the similar kind of question, I got a look saying, why? Why do you need that? And what have you done till now if you've not achieved that? So, there is this saying that says, खुदी को कर बुलंद इतना कि तकदीर से पहले खुदा बंदे को खुद पूछे बता तेरी रजा क्या है. Right? So the point is, जो करना है इस जिंदगी में, इस लाइफ में, खुद करके जाओ. Why be dependent on your children or on the future to give you that velocity, the push, the gati that you require to move ahead?
And Anjali, if I may add, isn't that interesting that at some point in time we said this, just in this conversation, right, that maybe our family is an impediment, and now we are looking towards our family to boost us up. I think let's be a self-propelled rocket rather than anything else.
Absolutely. And with this, I think we've had a fabulous conversation today, and we've answered most of the questions. If inadvertently I've missed a few questions, please do write to us at answers.hingorisutras@gmail.com. You will receive your answers. Yeah. And with that, I just have a few announcements to make before we close for the night. Yeah, I'd like to tell you that we are, in a way, reinventing Hingori Sutras, and in order to bring you rich, meaningful live sessions and create deep content on our website, we will be continuing the live sessions twice a month instead of every Sunday in the near future. We'll definitely make an announcement when we do that. So I request each of you in the audience to please put in your email IDs in the comment section, so that we can intimate you about each session as it is arranged and when it is arranged. Please do write in your email IDs if you haven't already done that before. Yeah. And also, one of our readers, Timi Kandari, has written a very interesting article on his blog, Is Destiny Pre-Written? For you, dear audience, we have, please, we are going to put the link up on the comments. We've put in a lot of links today on the comment session. It's a very interesting read. Please do click onto it and read it in your time, in your free time. And for your audience, we have a special offer on our books on our site, www.hingorisutras.in. Or if you prefer to listen to our books, they are available on Audible as well. So with so many options there, we look forward to seeing you again. Yeah. Let's call it a night today. Thank you, dear team and our audience. Looking forward to seeing you next Sunday. Good night, Shubh Ratri, Sayonara, Khuda Hafiz. And thank you, Gajendra and Rhythm.
Thank you. Thank you.